A deadly shooting inside an apartment tonight. No arrests have been made as the triple homicide investigation is underway in Lexington County. Federal warnings about possible protests at state capitals everywhere. The rifle Collazo had was not loaded. According to Fort Jackson, trainees are issued rifles in preparation for marksmanship training, but he did not yet have access to ammunition, though the school bus driver and the kids for that matter didn't know that. We have breaking news out of Philadelphia tonight. We wanted to update you on a situation happening there now. We have a live look where police have swarmed an area. The FBI says 2 agents were killed and 3 others were injured after a shooting in Florida on Tuesday. It happened while they were serving a federal arrest warrant. But in the face of all of that, and the sheriff made sure to point this out, the bus driver stayed calm, and that's why the sheriff tonight is calling this bus driver a hero. And this is breaking news this afternoon that the remains of 5-year-old Nevaeh Adams have been found. They found them last Friday in a landfill where they had been searching for a month to find that little girl's remains. The floodwaters have receded significantly tonight. I was told earlier today it was so high that people could kayak down the city streets here in downtown Charleston. We're in front of the Lee Central High School where they have set up a shelter for people in this area. They tell me that they have seen some people from the coastal communities coming in here, but most of the people that are here right now are locals. And I felt it and I've seen it outside. There's some folks outside exercising in front of the State House. You have to commend them because it's chilly.
Oh,
I have to ask Tyler, though, I checked my weather app on my watch this morning. There was a snowflake in the 5 o'clock hour. Well, I need some answers here. Tyler, was that a bit more toned down? I didn't yell at people this morning.
I don't like yelling. I mean, I think people need to get up.
I'm going to leave the yelling to you. SpaceX says the full crew will be announced in the weeks ahead. Unfortunately, I don't have any announcements to make about joining that crew, but I think they need a journalist.
I think so too.
Right?
I do.
And maybe a weatherman.
Either way.
The State House flags are at half-staff in honor of the victims of last night's mass shooting in Indianapolis. Today, President Biden was briefed on the matter, and the White House is once again calling on Congress to act. This is the 45th mass shooting in the U.S. over the past month. And tonight, we were learning details about the gunman. Daryl Forges is in Indianapolis with the latest. And today marks 100 days since the attack on the U.S. Capitol. Tonight, we're learning about another South Carolina man now charged in that insurrection. Nicholas J. Langerland from Little River was arrested and booked into an Horry County jail yesterday morning. He faces several charges, including assaulting, resisting, or impeding an officer using a dangerous weapon, and violent entry and disorderly conduct on Capitol grounds. Protests continue tonight in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, following the shooting death of Daunte Wright. Former police officer Kim Potter shot and killed Wright during a traffic stop Sunday. Prosecutors charged Potter with second-degree manslaughter. Wright's family and protesters want those charges upgraded. If convicted, Potter could face up to 10 years behind bars. There are also protests in Chicago tonight to call for justice for Adam Toledo's family. Adam Toledo is the 13-year-old boy shot by a Chicago police officer following a foot chase last month. City officials released the police body cam video Thursday. Attorneys for the family have asked protesters to remain peaceful, respectful, and nonviolent. A Richland County deputy has been fired today for driving a county vehicle under the influence of alcohol. We had reported that Michael Mazzaroli was involved in a single car accident earlier this month in Irmo. The collision is still under investigation. A suspect is in custody after leading Columbia police officers on a chase and barricading himself inside an apartment. We're told the suspect ran into an apartment at the intersection of Lester and Bailey Streets, but was later taken into custody. No word yet on the suspect's identity or specific charges. We will keep you posted as soon as we know more. The Blossom Street Bridge was briefly closed this afternoon after someone jumped into the Congaree River. Firefighters say their swift water rescue teams, along with Casey Public Safety, Columbia Police, and West Columbia Fire and Police, were able to find the young woman who was taken to a nearby hospital. The bridge was reopened a short time later. Time now to get a check of your forecast. We had a really nice day, but it's turned into a cool night. Here's meteorologist Caitlin Wright with a check. More than 200 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccine had been administered in the U.S. According to the CDC, in the last week, the U.S. has been averaging just over 3 million doses a day. Overall, nearly 39% of the U.S. population has received at least one dose of the vaccine. About 24% are fully vaccinated. South Carolina reached a big milestone itself in the vaccination efforts. More than 1 million people in the state have completed their coronavirus vaccination. Daily COVID case numbers, meanwhile, continue to rise. State health officials reported 847 new cases today. 2 additional deaths were also reported. Health officials say the vaccine site at Columbia Place Mall has been a huge success. Officials say they are already seeing results in the collaborative effort to deliver up to 7,000 doses a week. DHEC says with this new facility's capabilities, there is no reason why anyone should not be able to get vaccinated. DHEC officials say you no longer need to make an appointment to receive a vaccine at Columbia Place Mall. And happening tomorrow, the Columbia VA is hosting a mass COVID-19 vaccination clinic. That's from 8 to 4. Veterans, their spouses, and caregivers can all get vaccinated at the Colonial Life Arena. Walk-ins will be accepted. Midland's teachers continue to receive vaccines, facing that looming mandate to return to 5 days a week in-person instruction. This morning, faculty and staff of Lexington Richland 5 received their second doses of the COVID-19 vaccine at Dutch Fork High School. Teachers say the vaccine makes it possible for them to feel safe returning to the classroom.
It does give you a stronger sense of safety, and just thankful that this is one step for us to get back into the classroom.
The vaccine was provided to all district teachers, school support staff, student teachers, and district substitutes. Researchers at Stanford Medicine say they've started testing the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine in kids as young as 2. Stanford says it's one of 5 sites across the U.S. taking part in a phase 1 trial of the Pfizer vaccine in kids younger than 5. A spokesman says researchers began administering doses to participants in the 2 to 5-year-old group on Wednesday. A group of 144 kids will get 3 doses of the vaccine. And with that, the heat is behind us. A major cool down this evening after strong storms blew through the Midlands earlier today. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Josh Berry.
And I'm Rochelle Dean. We're going to go straight to the Weather Center where Chief Meteorologist John Farley is.
The families of inmates killed in a prison riot last year say corrections officials could have done more to prevent it. Wrongful death federal lawsuits filed by families of 2 of the 7 inmates killed claim South Carolina corrections officials violated the constitutional rights of the inmates. The lawsuits say Lee correctional employees knew of broken door locks, overcrowding, and contraband use, but made no efforts to eliminate the issues. No charges have been filed at this point. A Kershaw County man is missing and is in need of medical attention. The Kershaw County Sheriff's Office says Paul Dollarhide went missing around noon on Sunday when he went to go to a store near his home. He has health issues that do require medical attention. If you happen to know where this man is or happen to see him, please call Crime Stoppers at 1-888-CRIME-SC. A roundtable discussion was held with national public health officials to talk about ending the HIV epidemic here in South Carolina. ABC Columbia's Maria Szatkowski was at that meeting to see what plan officials have in store. Robert Mueller will appear before 2 congressional committees tomorrow. His testimony has the ability to make or break impeachment proceedings after Mueller said in April if he were able to clear the president of obstruction charges, he would have. Here's ABC's Jonathan Carl. Victims and first responders of 9/11 have one more hurdle to clear before getting the funding they need to cover health care for decades to come. Today, the Senate passed a bill that would compensate those who were injured in the September 11th attacks and in its aftermath through the year 2090. The original fund was running out of money and was expected to expire in December of 2020. According to the Congressional Budget Office, the fund is expected to cost about $10 billion over the next decade and will cover medical costs of victims without limitations. Jon Stewart and surviving first responders have been pushing lawmakers to pass that extension. Good evening and thank you for joining us for ABC Columbia News at 11. I'm Josh Berry. Tonight, parents met with Richland 2 administrators about the rezoning of 2 subdivisions. ABC Columbia's Alexis Frazier was there. She joins us live now with more on this. Alexis, they're running out of chances to make their voices heard, but administrators insist there are good reasons to do this. 2 men in connection to a Lexington home burglary last week have been arrested in Alabama. Christian Brown and Antonio Priester have each been charged with burglary, kidnapping, grand larceny, and armed robbery after authorities say on November 19th They broke into a woman's home on the 100 block of Martel Drive, stole several items, including her credit cards, then used her car to get away. Brown and Priester were arrested in Auburn, Alabama the next day. Authorities in Lancaster County say a 10-year-old boy was shot and killed by another 10-year-old boy while playing by themselves on November 15th. Deputies say the boys were playing in a Lancaster home when one fired the 9mm gun at the other, then carried him out of the house. Authorities say the parent who hid the gun under a mattress has been charged with neglect. Deputies are talking to prosecutors to determine what to do with the boy who fired that gun. Columbia police arrested an 18-year-old accused of crashing a stolen SUV into a house early this morning. Javino Bookert faces charges including possession of a stolen vehicle and a hit and run. The car was stolen from a home on Harrison Road. When police spotted that car, they say they tried to pull him over on English Avenue, but he refused to stop. Officers lost sight of that SUV but were flagged down by neighbors after it crashed into a home on Parkwood Drive. One person died after a struggle early Sunday morning. Investigators responded to a home on Percival Road. That was around 4:30 in the morning. RCSD says 2 people were involved in a struggle when a gun went off, killing one of them. No one has been charged, but that investigation continues. Tonight, a massive and what has been a deadly storm stretching from the Gulf to the northeast has caused multiple accidents as freezing conditions slicken the roadways. In the south, before it reached us, that same storm system produced more than 24 tornadoes, killing 3 people. Here's ABC's Gio Benitez. You can now kick back and enjoy a cold one at a Carolina game. Today, the USC Board of Trustees unanimously approved the sale of alcoholic beverages at football, basketball, and baseball games. ABC Columbia's Tim Scott explains how the university wanted to do their homework before taking that step. Former solicitor Dan Johnson has been sentenced to federal prison for using government money for personal expenses. This afternoon, a judge sentenced Johnson to 1 year and a day after he pleaded guilty to 1 count of wire fraud in February. Johnson was originally facing dozens of federal charges, but the others were dropped as part of a plea deal. The U.S. Supreme Court will not hear the Michael Slager case. Slager shot and killed Walter Scott in April of 2015. The former North Charleston police officer had petitioned the Supreme Court to hear an appeal of his prison sentence. He pleaded guilty in 2017 to the federal charge of depriving Scott of his civil rights under the color of law and was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Slager had appealed the conviction in lower courts twice before. Both of those appeals were denied. The men and women killed and the survivors of the Emanuel AME shooting were honored today at Allen University. Today, the university held its Mother Emanuel 9-Day of Remembrance commemoration ceremony. At the event, the inaugural Emanuel Lives Award was given to Alana Simmons Grant. Simmons Grant is the granddaughter of one of the Emanuel 9 and the founder of the nonprofit Hate Won't Win. Riverbanks Zoo will get its full funding from Lexington County. Last night, the county council voted to amend their recommended funding of the zoo to $1.2 million. Last month, we told you the council was considering cutting that by more than half. The council will hold its second reading on that budget next week. And the zoo's Toucan Tuesdays start next week. Riverbanks Zoo and Harvest Hope team up every year for the summer food drive. Starting next Tuesday, you can bring 2 canned goods to get 2 people in for the price of 1. According to the zoo, since the program began in 2010, they have collected close to 40,000 pounds of food for Midland's families. Toucan Tuesdays will take place every Tuesday through August 13th.